My father is a wealthy man. Whenever I developed an infatuation during my university years, he would bestow upon the object of my affection a gold chain. I inquired, what if it were a man? His response was a vehement, "I'll make you regret that." He relentlessly pursued me around the factory, delivering blows for what felt like an eternity. Finally, he lit a cigarette and sighed. Men also appreciate gold chains. I sighed in return, but he is decidedly heterosexual. As he exhaled smoke rings, he removed the heavy dog collar from around his neck. Then bend him to your will. That night, I pondered numerous unspoken scenarios, and even dreamt of adorning his swan-like neck with a gold chain. Upon waking, I found him across the bed, his face flushed to the roots of his hair. Eventually, I contemplated giving up. Yet, he placed the gold chain around my neck, pointing to my heart as he spoke. From the moment we met, he could perceive my thoughts and dreams. On the very first day of school, I found myself kissing Yaoi. I interpreted it as a kiss unilaterally. The cause was trivial, a disarray of luggage. I stumbled, and he caught me. Like a scene from a drama, our lips met. After we both uttered "I'm sorry and it's fine," he covered his bleeding lips and went about his business. Yet, I could not suppress the blush on my cheeks, the rapid beating of my heart, and the yearning for another kiss that lingered on my lips. A wave of panic washed over me, and I felt as if a pair of eyes were fixed upon me. Turning around, I saw Yaoi hastily gathering his belongings and rushing out the door. He offered no further words to me. During military training, Yaoi stood amidst the crowd, tall and upright, his presence radiant even under the scorching sun. The mere sight of him sent my heart racing, filled with thoughts that were decidedly inappropriate. I finally realized that after 18 years of being straight, I had developed feelings for him. When he handed me something, I longed to touch his hand. As he changed clothes, my gaze was riveted on him. When he sipped water, I wished to kiss him. Each time Yaoi noticed my unusual demeanor, he would ask, "What are you staring at? What do you want?" I could only respond with a foolish grin. I didn't sleep well. I was lost in thought. I saw a fly over there, flying. I was wondering where I put my socks. My father often remarked that I lack subtlety, my thoughts easily readable on my face. I harbored serious doubts that Yaoi had discerned something after military training. He hardly spoke to me that I recalled how my affluent father would often woo my mother with lavish gifts of gold chains and bracelets. He claimed those were the most practical gifts. Coincidentally, just the other day, he had sent me a few chains to help foster a better relationship with my roommate. 2. After the ocean and Shaoli settled their accounts, they began to refer to me as a brother, claiming that they would cover my breakfasts from now on. However, Yaoi remained aloof, resolutely refusing their gestures. Shaoli, ever fond of gossip, remarked that he was just too proud to accept help, pretending to be impoverished. Rumor had it that Yaoi's father had passed away early, leaving his mother to raise him and his brother single-handedly, and that her health was not too robust, frequently requiring hospital visits. He doesn't even know his own situation and still puts on a fade, they said. Indeed, his pretense of strength was rather heart-wrenching. I stealthily tucked the largest gold chain beneath Yaoi's pillow, leaving a note. "Brother, please buy some supplements for your mother to take care of her health." Yet, I felt it insufficient, so I slipped a few other items into his bag as well. I wondered if Yaoi noticed, as he had been coming and going at odd hours, collapsing into bed the moment he returned to the dormitory. Perhaps he was simply exhausted from his part-time job. However, that morning, as Yaoi hastily leaped out of bed, the gold chain clattered to the floor. The four of us men froze for a moment. Danmei, hot-tempered, pulled up his pants, ready to confront him. "Zhu Ran sincerely gifted that to you, and you had the audacity to act all high and mighty, yet you seem to have no qualms about being a thief behind the scenes." "It wasn't me," Yaoi replied, wearing an expression of innocence, offering no further explanation. "Still denying it?" Shaoli cursed as he stepped forward to confront him. I hurriedly intervened to prevent a physical altercation between the two. "It's a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding." Several pairs of eyes turned to me. How could I explain? I couldn't just admit that I felt sorry for Yaoi and had deliberately placed it there. As I pondered, Yaoi's gaze toward me inexplicably quivered. I forced a laugh and fabricated a clumsy excuse. "That must have been from last night when I was half asleep, mistakenly placing it there. Don't take it to heart, brother." I chuckled awkwardly, hoping to let the matter slide. On the weekend evening, while Danmei and Shaoli were away, Yaoi returned and handed me a box containing several notes, a gold bracelet, a gold ring, and the meal card I had secretly topped up for him for a year. His slender fingers brushed against my palm, sending a tingling sensation through me. He merely said, "Thank you, but there's no need." From his demeanor, I could tell he believed I was being charitable out of pity for him. I wanted to clarify that my intentions were purely out of concern and affection for him, but faced with his seemingly pure facade, I could only smile sheepishly. No need to mention it. Xiao Yi's brow furrowed slightly, and he inhaled deeply. It seemed I had inadvertently displeased him. 3. Since then, Dahai and Xiao Li became increasingly critical of Xiao Yi. One moment they claimed to have seen him alight from a luxury vehicle, implying he was being supported by a wealthy woman. The next moment, they suggested he was strolling through the woods with the campus belle, insinuating something untoward. Their remarks irritated me further, prompting me to uncork a bottle of red wine my father had gifted me and discuss the school beauties with them. However, as the conversation drifted back to the campus belle, it inevitably returned to the enigmatic figure of Xiao Yi. In my opinion, he isn't all that handsome. He's not as approachable as Zhu Ran. Exactly. He's just tall with high cheekbones. Otherwise, what could have won the affection of the campus belle? Their crude words and reasoning were quite discomforting. Although I didn't know Xiao Yi well, I firmly believed he was not that sort of person. Regrettably, I was too proud to voice my thoughts and raised my glass, echoing, "You're right. He must be quite the catch." Just as my words left my lips, Xiao Yi returned to the dormitory, pushing the door open. I feigned calmness, avoiding his gaze. Xiao Li glanced at Xiao Yi and whispered to us, suggesting a game that involved daring questions about Xiao Yi's dimensions, with the loser taking the brunt of the challenge. Dahai agreed. I felt it would be unwise to dampen their spirits. Alas, I found myself on the losing end. Shall we just call it off? I felt a pang of anxiety. They urged me, a wager is a wager. We're all men. What is there to be embarrassed about? If Xiao Yi truly discerned my inappropriate thoughts towards him, asking him such a question would surely disgust him further. Yet, emboldened by the alcohol, I approached him. My gaze lingered hesitantly a short distance below his waist, and after much deliberation, I removed his headphones and tentatively inquired, "Brother, may I ask, how old is your brother?" He frowned slightly, not lifting his gaze from his book, replying, "Almost 18. A moment of disbelief surged within me. I suddenly envisioned a series of scenarios. When I discarded my thoughts of indecency, I inadvertently met Xiao Yi's startled eyes as he averted his gaze. Was my expression so transparent? If that was the case, I might as well embrace my fate. I forced a silly grin to mask my embarrassment. "Oh, that must have taken quite some time." Xiao Yi's hand trembled slightly as he gripped his pen, inhaling sharply, his voice a touch strained. "Not long, just about half a year." My thoughts raced. Are you kidding me? Surely he couldn't be 18. My heart raced, and the alcohol heightened my curiosity. Under the warm light, Xiao's complexion deepened in hue, as if he could see through my thoughts, glaring at me fiercely while tightening his belt. I feigned indifference, nodding in agreement, and smiling as I walked away. Stealthily, I dashed to the bathroom to splash some cold water on my flushed face, then crawled into bed, burying myself under the covers. After a while, as I peeked out for air, the bathroom door swung open, revealing Xiao Yi wrapped in a bathrobe. Several droplets of water cascaded from his hair, tracing their way down his sculpted chest. I couldn't help but swallow hard. He was strikingly handsome. I felt an overwhelming urge to touch him. Xiao Yi immediately cast a wary glance in my direction. I was struck by a sense of being caught red-handed, yet I managed to maintain a foolish grin. "Heh, it seems there's a mosquito." Xiao Yi responded with a nonchalant "oh," hastily dressing. He appeared quite flustered. 4. During the 11-day holiday, I spent a few days at my father's factory. He assumed I had taken a liking to some remarkable girl, showering me with money to buy jewelry and bags. There's nothing not to like about such things. Just pursue her regardless of who she is. I sighed in exasperation. What if it's a man? My father paused, picking up a wooden board to swing at me. "I'll be damned if I let you get away with that." He chased me around the factory for quite some time. Finally, panting, he glanced at my older brother, who was cozied up with my sister-in-law in the office, tossed the board aside, lit a cigarette and sighed. "Men also like gold chains." I followed suit with a long sigh, but he's straight. My father blew out a puff of smoke, tearing off the dog collar around his neck and tossing it to me. "Then bend him." I was left speechless. On the day of my return to school, I clutched the chain, contemplating late into the night. When Xiao Yi returned, Dahai and Xiao Li were already snoring. Half asleep, I caught a glimpse of him shedding his t-shirt, and the smooth contours of his back came into view. The sight nearly made my nose bleed. That night, I dreamt of fastening that dog collar. No, the gold chain, around Xiao Yi's fair and delicate neck. I led him from his throat across his collarbone, chest, and down to his waist, savoring every moment. Just as I was about to pull down his pants to measure if he was indeed 18, the alarm blared. I awoke with the gold chain still clutched in my hand. Across from me, Xiao Yi stared, perhaps sensing my lewd expression. His face flushed crimson to the roots of his ears. Even in class, she sits far away from me. Throughout the entire lesson, my mind wanders. The thought of my singular, unrequited crush over the past 18 years, which must remain unspoken and destined to wither, pierces my heart like a dagger. Yet, inexplicably, as I ponder over Xiao Yi, who sits diagonally across from me, he turns to glance in my direction. It feels almost mystical. Meeting his gaze, I can only muster an awkward smile. To my misfortune, this smile draws the teacher's attention. The boy who's laughing the hardest? Yes, you? Please answer. What can I possibly say? Beside me, Dahai and Xiao Li wear bewildered expressions. Internally, I screamed 3 times, Xiao Yi, save me. To my surprise, he indeed turns back, his expression transforming from shock to enlightenment, eventually gesturing to me with an okay? Yay? The classroom erupts in laughter. Well then, 32. Had this been high school, I would surely have been sent out. The advanced math teacher's face darkens, and he coldly commands me to sit down. Given his relentless nature, I fear I may very well fail this semester. Seizing the opportunity, I shamelessly inch closer to Xiao Yi, borrowing notes and asking questions. He is obliging, his aloofness softened by a hint of gentleness, suggesting that he doesn't find me entirely intolerable. He even agrees to help me carry my lunch, which consists entirely of my favorite dishes. The small flame of hope within me burns brighter. Fortunately, I witnessed Xiao Yi getting into the car of the school beauty, maintaining the necessary boundaries expected of a roommate. We are not of the same ilk, and thus I must let this hidden affection fester in silence. Moreover, I heard from Xiao Li that the school beauty intends to confess to Xiao Yi soon. I ought to give up, but alas, some people simply cannot resist their own whims. When Xiao Yi was called away by the school beauty, I discreetly dismissed Dahai and Xiao Li and followed him. In a picturesque, romantic grove adorned with twinkling fairy lights, the school beauty presented him with an exquisitely wrapped box of chocolates. I strained to listen, leaning in closer. I'm sorry, I can't accept this. To my astonishment, Xiao Yi rejected her. In an instant, hope ignited within me, bursting forth like fireworks. Alas, though beautiful, fireworks are fleeting. Xiao Yi stated he has someone he likes. The school beauty, visibly agitated, retorted, what do I lack in looks, character, or family background? It has nothing to do with you. It's my own reason, he replied. Then who is it? Please tell me so I can give up. After a brief hesitation, Xiao Yi sighed. All right, the person I like is. Who could it be? Damn. Who is honking outside the school? I hope you understand. Judging by the school beauty's shocked expression, it must be a wealthy woman she cannot compete with. I won't be able to tutor your brother anymore, he concluded, tightening his backpack and turning to leave. As his gaze swept over me, I failed to hide and could only force a smile. What a coincidence. Have you eaten? Not yet. I assumed he would respond politely as he usually does and move on. To my surprise, Xiao Yi unexpectedly turned back. Would you like to join me? He has a girl he likes. It seems inappropriate. I blurted, sure. Perhaps it was a figment of my imagination, but Xiao Yi seemed to smile. Watching his lips move as he slowly chewed, along with the motion of his throat, I lost all appetite. Do I have a mosquito on my face? Oh no, not at all. I took a sip of soup to divert the topic. I accidentally overheard that you're no longer tutoring? Yes. What are your plans afterward? I casually inquired. Do you have any good suggestions? I looked up, sensing that Xiao Yi was genuinely asking. But for part-time work. My father's lumber yard, brewery, seafood factory, my mother's clothing store, and the nightclub all seem unsuitable. How about you tutor me? Your grades are excellent, and it would be a shame for your knowledge to go to waste. Just tell me how much you charge and I'll pay. I paused, realizing this sounded a bit pretentious, and Xiao Yi probably wouldn't appreciate it. What I mean is, what's your hourly rate? Not quite right either. I mean, according to the market standard. Ugh, nothing I say seems correct. Forget it. I was joking. Do I seem fierce to you? Xiao Yi suddenly interrupted my ramblings. Huh? Otherwise, why are you so cautious when speaking to me? Am I? Xiao Yi's lips curled into a subtle smile. I can help you with tutoring. I'll let you know the price later. Really? My eyes lit up. Perhaps my excitement led Xiao Yi to mistakenly believe I had genuine ambitions. Xiao Yi, seemingly energized, never misses a day at the library or study room whenever he has free time. I rest my head on the desk, my eyelids growing heavy, and with a charming smile, I say, Teacher Xiao, Brother Xiao, can we take a break? This level of study seems excessive. It's not like we're in our final year of high school, and they one tea even let us nap. Xiao Yi casually handed me a coffee, saying, if you're tired, this will perk you up. As I sipped the coffee, I quickly changed the subject, so, you don't need to spend time with your girlfriend? When did I ever have one? Xiao Yi looked slightly taken aback, raising an eyebrow with a low chuckle. I've spent enough time with someone. How is that possible? A master of time management. I can hardly manage my time without him, aside from sleeping. Not only must I study those strange symbols and incomprehensible numbers, but I also have to resist the subtle temptations from the man beside me, controlling my overwhelming desires. After just a week, my head feels like it's about to explode. How do I tell him that I'm not as eager to learn as he thinks? You really don't want to learn? Xiao's warm palm ruffled my hair, gliding down my neck and stopping at my back, gently patting me. A delightful tingling sensation flooded through me. His soft lips curved into a teasing smile. Why have you fallen silent? Once aloof and unapproachable, now he is inexplicably tender. I bit down hard on my straw. Haven't you perked up yet? Xiao Yi tilted his head and leaned closer. Brother, could you please stop tempting me? Then don't blame me for continuing to tease you. Gazing at his moving lips, I lost all focus on what he was saying. I was about to explode. In a moment of impulse, I pressed my lips against his, savoring the warmth and irresistibly drawing him closer. However, just as I pried open his lips, the afternoon broadcast rang out. I sprang back, gasping for air, and slapped myself hard. I dared not look up at him, merely murmuring an apology. Xiao Yi licked his lips, listening to the romantic song playing outside, savoring the lingering taste. Since that initial kiss upon our first meeting, he could hear the faintest of sounds whenever Chu Ran was within his line of sight. These sounds were enticing, causing his heart to race. Yet when he looked over, Chu Ran appeared blissfully oblivious, smiling at him as if to convey that the alluring sounds were merely figments of his imagination. He had no choice but to avoid her. It wasn't until after that advanced math class that he reluctantly accepted that those sounds were indeed Chu Ran's genuine feelings. He never expected that beneath that innocent, toothy smile lay sentiments mirroring his own. This kid truly feigned purity, leaving him in self-doubt for so long. Thus, he too wished to let him experience that sensation. He intended to draw close to Chu Ran, brazenly enticing him, and once he could no longer resist and truly acted upon those impulses, he would hold him accountable. Yet, this foolish boy seemed to possess a rather thin skin. Now it was my turn to evade Xiao Yi. For the next 2 days, regardless of whether it was the student council, a club, or any gathering I would attend, Xiao Yi appeared to have reverted to the aloof demeanor of a cold, unapproachable god, indifferent to my presence. On the evening of a senior's birthday in the student council, I narrowly avoided a collision with Xiao Yi as we both exited. At the school gate, the wealthy lady waved slightly from her car window, her slender, alabaster fingers harmonizing perfectly with Xiao Yi. He naturally took his place in the passenger seat beside her. That night, a lovely senior even gifted me chocolates. Just then, a message from Xiao Yi popped up on WeChat, causing my heart to skip a beat. Upon opening it, I found the tutoring fee I had sent him being refunded due to a time lapse. The dialogue box still contained my unsent apology. I refused the chocolates, opting instead to drink myself into a stupor, being helped back to my dormitory, and falling into a deep slumber. In my dreams, Xiao Yi gently wiped my face, his distinctly knuckled fingers glistening as if coated in honey. How sweet, how sweet. I called out his name, laughing and crying, pleading with him not to be angry, not to ignore me. His smile flowed like water. If you beg me, I shall not be angry. I beg you, I beseech you, Xiao Yi, teacher Xiao, brother Xiao. I wrapped my arms around his neck, and he leaned down to capture my lips with his own, his lips equally sweet. In the morning, I rubbed my forehead and casually called out to Dahai and Xiao Li to help me shout here. A faint response came from the opposite bed. They didn't return last night, and besides, today is Saturday. I recalled that during these days of tutoring with Yaoi, they had watched me with knowing expressions, having arranged a gaming session with the class next door without inviting me. I cursed them silently for their lack of loyalty. Just as I was about to close my eyes, my mind stalled, and I suddenly sat up. So, was it Yaoi who had helped me back last night? Coming to my senses, a steaming cup of milk was handed to me. The long fingers were identical to those in my dreams, still faintly marked with teeth impressions. Stop daydreaming, drink up. I feigned calmness as I accepted it, asking him if I had said or done anything last night. No, Yaoi replied coolly. Nothing at all? Why? Are you disappointed? Did you wish to say something you didn't? Or do something you refrained from? His voice held a hint of playful laughter. He was someone with a girlfriend, perhaps too disdainful to mention it. My fingers tightened around the cup slightly. Yaoi was willing to grant me dignity, treating it as if nothing had happened. Why should I provoke his ire? Nothing, it's good that there is nothing. Yaoi tossed me a sandwich. Finish up quickly. We're going to the library, the usual spot. What? Continuing? I nearly spat out the milk in shock. Yaoi casually grabbed a tissue and lightly wiped the corner of my lips. I promised I would take responsibility. But what about you? He paused, his grip tightening slightly. The payment hasn't been settled. Are you not planning to take responsibility? I snatched the tissue away, avoiding his gaze and forcing a smile. No, no. Internally scoffing, I thought it absurd that I had whimsically sought him out for tutoring, and now I was expected to take responsibility? Was this not akin to coercion? Besides, I had clearly paid. It was he who refused to accept it. Was it my fault? Yaoi shot me a bewildered glance, grinding his teeth as he spat. You did pay, but it wasn't enough. Heavens! Did the worms in my belly communicate with him? I angrily bit into the sandwich, perhaps seeing my lack of motivation. Yaoi finally set his backpack down and sighed in resignation. If you don't want to go, I can accompany you to do something else. Perhaps I was seeing things, but I could have sworn I caught a glimmer of indulgence in his eyes. At last, I comprehended. Yaoi wanted to tutor me because he was short on cash, seeking to earn a legitimate income from me. Yet, since I was the one paying, a little flexibility wouldn't hurt, would it? Why waste time in the library? I chose instead to lounge in the dormitory playing games. All right, Yaoi acquiesced. To my surprise, this academic prodigy turned out to be a novice, pathetically weak. I chuckled to myself. If he could defeat me, I would accompany him to the library to tackle 10 calculus problems. However, just a few minutes later, my laughter faded. Yaoi began to master the game, racking up impressive scores. I unconsciously glanced over, seeing him at the desk, his lashes lowered, fingers deftly gliding across the screen. The reflections on his phone screen illuminated his dark, sparkling eyes, adding a touch of allure. Then I met my demise. The strongest player succumbed to the stubborn novice. Yaoi set down his phone, a mischievous smirk gracing his lips. 10 calculus problems. Unfazed, I challenged him to a rematch on the basketball court. Sure, but if I win, you owe me 10 more problems. Who's afraid of whom? Just then, the guy from the adjacent class, secretly infatuated with the school beauty, declared he would join me in teaching Yaoi a lesson. Alas, he was swiftly proven wrong. Yaoi demonstrated what it meant to be as still as a maiden yet as swift as a hare. With a perfect slam dunk, his well-defined abs flashed before my eyes. I was taken aback. He then turned to me, casually lifting his shirt hem to wipe the sweat from his brow. He had 2 more than I did. The next day at the library, 20 problems, none spared. I inadvertently noticed that Yaoi followed numerous mysticism accounts on his phone. I suspected he had placed a spell on me. It seemed he could read my thoughts. For instance, in front of a problem he had explained, he asked if I remembered after studying it for so long. I stubbornly claimed I did. But in truth, I had been too busy admiring his face to pay attention to what he was saying. Yaoi called me out directly. If you haven't remembered, shift your gaze from my face, and I'll explain it to you again. I merely uttered an "oh," not daring to speak further. Yet Yaoi, when serious, was undeniably captivating. His long fingers twirled a pen, his long lashes fluttered, and beneath his straight nose, his pink lips parted and closed, uttering a soft, melodious voice. I desperately wanted to kiss him. When Yaoi's voice fell silent, the pen tip gently tapped my forehead. I'm truly at a loss for you. He sighed softly, suddenly leaning closer to whisper in my ear, as long as you don't fail any subjects in the finals, I'll let you kiss me as much as you want. With his warm breath, my body stiffened, and I pinched my thigh fiercely to maintain some semblance of rationality. Yaoi, could you please refrain from such behavior? Even if he could hear my heart's desires and knew my feelings for him, he shouldn't toy with me like this. Yet he continued to smile and jest. I'm quite serious. Don't you like it? An inexplicable surge of anger welled up within me. Did he behave this way while tutoring others as well? Xiao Yi's smile faltered. Chu Ran, I only act this way with you. That day I fled in distress. Xiao Yi must have been retaliating against my feelings for him, deliberately teasing me to make me uncomfortable. I sent the message containing the words "I'm sorry" in the dialogue box. Xiao Yi, I apologize for the trouble I've caused you. I promise to control myself and maintain distance in the future. You can let me know how much you need for the time you spent with me, plus the tutoring fees for these days. Do you think I'm in need of money? Sent and immediately retracted. I didn't quite catch it. After a considerable pause, the screen displayed only 2 words. You owe me. What? Owe me what? You owe me responsibility. Damn. I tossed my phone aside. In my final year of high school, I felt a sense of obligation towards my teachers for their arduous efforts. Now that I am in university, I find myself similarly indebted to my diligent roommate who has been tutoring me. Fine, I concede. With the impending finals, isn't it just a matter of cramming a few more days? Although I have become somewhat lax since entering college, my examination results are certainly not something I purchased. Once I have successfully taken the exam, I shall see how anxious he becomes. He mentioned I should indulge myself. On Friday afternoon, with no classes, Xiao Yi asked me to occupy a seat in the library after finishing my meal, claiming he needed to deliver some materials. I thought nothing of it until my phone pinged with a video from Shaoli. Outside the school gate, I saw Xiao Yi, backpack slung over his shoulder, getting into a luxury car. Inside the vehicle, besides a wealthy woman, was a youthful gentleman who appeared to have just reached adulthood. Xiao Yi accepted a cup of coffee from the affluent lady and, with an affectionate gesture, draped his arm around the young man's neck. Shaoli speculated that Xiao Yi might be bisexual or a playboy. I solemnly replied, impossible. While I dismissed the notion, a pang of jealousy twisted within me. I threw my books aside and retreated to my dormitory to bury myself in sleep. I slumbered until darkness enveloped the sky, only to be roused by the sound of my father's phone call. The dormitory was eerily quiet, and the ringtone pierced the stillness. Squinting, I answered, greeted by my father's beaming face on the screen. Son, how's it going? Is the gold chain weighing you down? His booming voice startled me, nearly causing my phone to slip from my grasp. Thankfully, Xiao Yi was absent, and Dahai and Shaoli had gone next door to play games. I quickly put on my headphones and casually told him not to worry, assuring him I was fine. He had just returned from a trip abroad with my mother and brought me gifts, shaking a box in front of the camera. I'm not entirely sure what these are, but I heard from those young lads that they're suitable for you. Since you're about to have a break, put in some extra effort and try to bring them home. By the way, your mother wants to take a few days to travel south before heading back, so I'll mail these to you. What a mess. My cheeks flushed as I hastily brushed off his concerns. No rush, no rush. You two should keep them for now. I'm off to eat. That kid, your mother, and I have no use for them. I abruptly ended the call, feeling rather hungry. Just as my stomach growled, the mouth-watering aroma of fried chicken wafted through the air. Drowsily, I got out of bed and turned on the light. Turning around, I was met with a pair of gentle, watery eyes. Whoa, my heart nearly leapt from my chest. After sleeping all afternoon, you must be hungry. Xiao Yi waved a bucket of fried chicken, a teasing smile gracing his lips. What are you doing here? I fumbled to adjust my headphones, relieved I had them on. There were still a few unread messages from him on my phone, asking where I was, likely sent just as I had drifted off. Why didn't you turn on the lights in the dorm? You could have at least made some noise. You scared me, I exclaimed. I waited for you for over half an hour, and when you didn't reply, I came back to find you sleeping soundly. I didn't want to disturb you. What got you flustered? Did your uncle say something I shouldn't have heard? I hadn't said anything at all, but I kept reassuring myself internally. Nothing at all, I chuckled nervously. Xiao Yi seemed oblivious to any irregularity and pushed the bucket of chicken toward me. After sleeping all afternoon, you should have had enough rest. I've summarized some essential exam questions. Eat up and take a look. His tone suggested he wasn't too pleased, which was understandable since I had left him hanging. Yet I couldn't bear the weight of my own frustration. Xiao Yi, can we just end this? His expression turned icy, fingers that rested on the chair curling slightly. What do you mean? You want to end things? I lowered my gaze and softly uttered a reluctant yes, but my stomach betrayed me. Unable to resist, I reached for a piece of fried chicken. If worst comes to worst, I can always retake it. They say resets are easier. Before I could finish my thought, I felt a firm grip on my wrist. Chu Ran, it was you who provoked me first, yet here you are, taking it easy. The tantalizing chicken remained just out of reach. I carefully explained, no, I only suggested tutoring because I thought you were in need of money. It was just a casual remark. But during our time together, Xiao Yi certainly did not seem in need of funds. I'm not talking about that, Xiao Yi interjected, pushing my hand forward and shoving the fried chicken into my mouth. What was happening? He pointed firmly at my heart. I mean this right here. From the moment we met, you've captivated me. Over these past few months, you've known exactly what you felt and dreamed about. The chicken nearly fell from my grasp. Did he mean he could hear my thoughts from the start? So, he was aware of my desires to touch him, to kiss him, to measure him? Xiao Yi casually snatched the gold chain from beside my pillow, a grin that sent shivers down my spine. This was dire. He even knew my dreams. Indeed, the heavy gold chain tightened around my neck. Chu Ran. After all this time, your words are so hard to come by. Would it kill you to say you like me? I chewed fiercely on the fried chicken, snatching the chain back, grumbling you have a girlfriend, and probably a boyfriend too. Why should I humiliate myself? Nonsense. I'm with you every day. When have you seen anyone else by my side? Are you truly this Navi or just pretending? I scoffed lightly and tossed the video Shaoli sent me at him. Is this the person you claim doesn't exist? You even lied to me about delivering materials. After I spoke, I felt particularly petty. I wasn't anyone to question his private life. Xiao Yi erupted with a furious laugh. Chu Ran, you really are foolish. That's my mother and my younger brother. My brother is in his senior year, and I bought him some past exam papers. Is that a problem? What? Was it really that absurd? I was left breathless, swallowing the chicken in my mouth. Ugh! Xiao Yi quickly picked up the cola on the table, but the straw ended up pointing at his own mouth. Then, with one hand holding the back of my head and the other grasping my chin, he leaned in, his warm lips carrying the scent of cola toward me. Are you still choking? Under his heated gaze, I held my breath and dumbly shook my head. Auntie, quite youthful. Sentishi? A voice I couldn't identify echoed, suggesting poor health and frequent hospital visits. Xiao Yi mentioned that the rumors weren't entirely unfounded. His mother was involved in the pharmaceutical business, and indeed, his father had left when he was very young. My father passed away in a car accident, leaving behind a substantial compensation. After my mother emerged from her grief, she utilized that money to start a business. Perhaps it was my father's spirit watching over her. She has done quite well as in driving a luxury car. He explained that he tutored others for two reasons. 1, the school beauty actively sought him out, and 2, my ability to feign ignorance was so masterful that he initially believed the sounds he heard were mere figments of his imagination, prompting him to avoid me for a time. I lay on my bed, silently processing the revelations from that night. Felt utterly surreal. While I harbored a crush on Xiao Yi, he had secretly liked me too. When he rejected the school beauty, claiming he had someone he liked, was he referring to me? It's you. A throw pillow from the opposite bed came flying in my direction. The person I like is you. Stop overthinking. Be quiet for a moment. All right? I'm trying to sleep. But I was too exhilarated to sleep. A soft chuckle came from behind. Can't sleep? Are you perhaps thinking of taking advantage of the fact that the dormitory is empty tonight? There was no need to rush things. But it seemed time was not on our side. The bed curtain was abruptly pulled back, and a warm body pressed against mine. I froze, too afraid to turn around. Those hands that had appeared in my dreams countless times glided smoothly to my waist, gently kneading and squeezing. My heart raced wildly, and heat surged through me. The person behind me seemed to share my unease, their presence increasingly unsettling. I struggled to inch my way towards the wall. Aren't you curious to measure it? Why are you hiding? Thoughts aside, actions are another matter entirely. Moreover, judging by my instincts, it felt like more than 18. Xiao Yi, brother Xiao, I was wrong. All right? The warm breath lingered in my ear. If you're scared, then don't move. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that I won't recreate every scene from your dreams. Absolutely still, I vowed. I was unaware of when I had fallen asleep. It wasn't until I heard the voices of Dahai and Xiao Li, announcing they had brought breakfast and beckoning me to join them, that I gently extricated myself from Qiao Yi's hold, my body still tingling with numbness. See? I knew something was off with Qiao Yi. He doesn't come home at night. Who knows what he has been up to?
Qiao liumat.
Qiao Yi shifted slightly behind me, prompting me to spin around and wrap my arms around his waist, silently pleading. Please don't go, I beg you. The corners of Qiao Yi's lips twitched. In a moment of panic, I pressed my lips against his. He, however, grasped the back of my head and responded fervently. My body warmed, and my breath grew heavier. As footsteps approached, I suddenly broke free. Chu Ran, are you awake? I'm bringing you your blankets. I made a frantic effort to steady my breathing. Coming, I'm on my way. As I got out of bed, I implored Qiao Yi repeatedly, ensuring his blanket was tucked in snugly, and I tightened the bed curtain. What are you sneaking around for? It's like you've hidden a woman in here. Dahai laughed while munching on a bun. I offered a few dismissive remarks before explaining Qiao Yi's situation to them. It's easy to spread rumors, but clearing them takes great effort. After all, we would be living under the same roof for 3 to 4 years. Despite their occasional nonsensical chatter, they were good friends who valued loyalty, and I couldn't let them misunderstand Qiao Yi. Oh, how well you know him. I've seen you two exchanging glances. Could it be there's something going on? I choked on my words. Don't say such things. Just as I was about to fabricate a response, a sneeze erupted from behind the bed curtain. What the heck? Dahai and Xiao Li's eyes widened in unison. There was no need for further fabrication now. I buried my face in my hands, utterly defeated. Qiao Yi shrugged, indicating it was not intentional. I could hardly believe him. I managed to pass all my final exams without fail. After all, if I didn't complete my assignments, his beautiful hands would be restless, tugging at me insistently, yet he wouldn't allow a kiss. Who could endure such torment? Yet, I always felt something was amiss. Before the winter break, the 4 of us gathered for the first time without any absentees. Dahai and Xiao Li apologized for their previous prejudices against Qiao Yi. Since we're all drinking, I'll take my shot, you do as you please. I raised my glass in agreement. I'll join you, buddy. That night, Qiao Yi didn't drink much, while I indulged considerably. He expressed concern that I might end up making a mess in the dormitory. So, accompanied by the knowing glances of those two, I stayed outside with him. They say alcohol emboldens the timid. When Qiao Yi emerged from the shower, half in his bathrobe, I pounced on him without hesitation. It was a scene I had dreamed of countless times. You said I could kiss you as much as I wanted. Of course. Yet, just as I was about to savor the moment, he pressed me against the bathroom wall. Suddenly, I realized what felt wrong. It was the opposite of my dreams. How unfair. What is unfair? Qiao Yi opened his sleepy eyes and wrapped his arms around my waist, claiming my innermost thoughts had stirred him awake. I rolled my eyes and retorted, you can hear my thoughts, but I can't hear yours. That's what is unfair. Then listen closely. Qiao Yi squinted slightly, his lips remaining still. To my astonishment, I truly heard a voice. He said, how about we do it again? In the midst of my surprise, Qiao Yi pressed his lips against mine. A question arose. If after intimate contact I could hear his thoughts, yet he couldn't hear mine, what should I do? I stumbled upon a response from a mystical blogger. Perhaps trying even closer contact would enable him to hear mine. I must admit, the sensation of communicating through thoughts was rather delightful. During the holiday, I successfully brought Qiao Yi home. How do my parents feel about this? In his presence, I felt utterly insignificant. The second half of the year brought a heavier course load. I found myself cursing my father more than once for insisting I study economics, claiming I would count money for him in the future. What nonsense! Do you need linear algebra to count money? Or calculus? Besides, managing finances is an accountant's job. I told Qiao Yi that since I could hear his thoughts, surely it wouldn't be too much to give him a little help during exams. Qiao Yi's expression turned cold. That's quite excessive. I insisted it was out of concern for him. His younger brother was about to take the college entrance examination, and he had to tutor him online while still attending to me. I was worried he'd be overwhelmed. He sternly warned me that any crooked thoughts were out of the question. If you keep fantasizing, I'll open the package under your bed. He always used this tactic against me. It was my father's fault for not mentioning the package after sending it. After a holiday, the collection point directly delivered it to my dormitory at the start of the semester. I had hidden it for so long, yet Qiao Yi still discovered it. I scrambled to cover my tracks, urging him to forget about it. My dad is a simpleton, clueless about everything. He buys random things that are of no use. Yaoi sighed. Be grateful. Your uncle loves you dearly. A flicker of sadness crossed his eyes. Leaning against his shoulder, I offered a comforting smile. From now on, my dad is your dad. He kissed my forehead, softly murmured and tousled my hair, urging me to finish reviewing the crucial exam topics he had prepared for me. There was no denying it. I had been thoroughly subdued. The day Yaoi's brother completed his college entrance exam happened to fall on a weekend. He returned home early, while Dahai and Shaoli went out to play games without inviting me. I spent the morning playing games, had lunch, and then napped the entire afternoon. I was not expecting Yaoi to return before nightfall, bringing me dinner. My mom said next time she'll bring you along. My mouth froze mid-bite. Huh? I wasn't prepared for anything. It's just a meal. It's not like we're getting engaged. What's there to prepare? Yaoi playfully wiped the corner of my lips and teased. Besides, I remember you prepared a gift for my mom from the start, didn't you? The gold chain? I facepalmed. But upon his mention, I suddenly recalled that my mother had given me a limited edition bracelet, urging me to keep it for a girl I liked. I just wasn't sure if it would suit her. I think it's quite suitable. Otherwise, who do you plan to give it to? Yaoi said through gritted teeth. He was eavesdropping on my thoughts again. Yaoi's mother, much like him, appeared aloof yet possessed a gentle nature. She adored the bracelet, praising my mother's taste and calling me adorable. That night when I returned home, I was so excited that sleep eluded me, while Dahai and Shaoli snored thunderously. I silently called out in my heart, Yaoi, Yaoi, are you awake? No response. I quietly played with the large golden chain by my pillow, imagining it draped around Xiaoyi's neck in my dreams. Before I could fall asleep, I heard his inner voice cursing. If you keep imagining, I'll ensnare you. I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare. I peeked at him, mentally smiling and asking if he would chat with me. All right, then let us talk about what's in the box. No, no, no. A light laugh seemed to echo from across. You're meeting the parents soon? Why are you still so timid? This has nothing to do with timidity. Not timid. How about we open a room outside to chat? Huh? Right now? If you want to, then let us do it. Get up and get dressed. No, I didn't mean it, truly. You're speaking contrary to your heart. The proactive individual had quietly risen from his bed and changed his attire. I recall that there are classes scheduled for tomorrow morning. You are mistaken. You have 5 minutes. Exceed that by a minute, and there will be a penalty. Damn. What have I done to provoke him? Precisely, I did not exceed a single minute. Yet, Yaoi was equally relentless with me. My father surely could not fathom that the entire box of items he provided ultimately ended up being utilized solely for my benefit. Yaoi playfully nibbled on my ear, inquiring if I liked it. I burrowed into his embrace, feeling an overwhelming sense of embarrassment. Even without verbalizing it, I can discern your affection. You possess a mouth only to feign ignorance, keeping all the sweet words locked within your heart. Fortunately, I can hear the yearnings of your soul. Who hasn't experienced moments of shyness? If you're not concealing your feelings, then speak. Yaoi whispered against my ear. All right, I shall confess. I adore the way you grin with your adorable tiger teeth. I cherish the way you pout and implore me. And I adore the sight of you lying on the bed, eyes reddened from my teasing, calling out for me as Brother Chow. Stop, stop, stop. Please don't say any more. You urged me to speak. Gazing at Xiao's smug expression, I promptly silenced him with a kiss. Such mortifying words are better left unspoken. Indeed, I am grateful that he can hear my innermost thoughts and comprehend my deep affection for him. Thankfully, he feels the same way. The end. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing and liking to support. Until we meet again in the next tale.